All right, and so what we're working on today is the Sharp Hand Joe exercise here. That's what we're working on right now. And that's in your Canvas resources here under the modules, under exercises and labs, PT timing correction exercise, elastic audio. PT, of course, stands for Pro Tools. And you click on this, and it brings you to this page here that says download the instructions from this link and submit your edit window screenshots here. You can add multiple image files, images, waves, etc. by clicking the add another file into the submissions page. Really what I'm looking for is just a screenshot of your work. And I want you to kind of follow along closely with what I do because there's a couple of little curveballs in here, and we're going to be talking about those and why we're doing those. And then the session files are right here. You can just download them by clicking on them. I've got them already on my computer here. And I've got the timing correction PDF here, and I've got the Sharp Hand Joe. I unzipped it, so I've got the PTX file right here. So I'm going to go ahead and double click that to open it up. What's up, Walter? How you doing? I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and it might give you a window here that pops up that says session notes, some bus paths could not be mapped, blah, 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 all this stuff here. Some inputs are missing, all this stuff. Just hit no. It's going to say, would you like to save a detailed report? And the answer is no. You do not need to save a detailed report unless you need to save a detailed report for some reason, in which case you would probably know why you're doing that. So if you know why you're doing it, then do it. And if you don't know why, then don't do it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to Setup. First of all, I'm just going to check my Playback engine, Setup, Pro Tools Aggregate I/O. Great, 128 samples, which is fine for my computer here. It's cache size 8 gigabytes is fine. Okay, great. And we're just going to look in here, make sure everything is good. That looks fine. I'm going to go ahead and make a master fader. Always make a master fader. And I'm going to actually go ahead and put in I'm going to put in a couple of aux tracks here. I'm going to put in 2 aux tracks, one for delay, one for reverb here, and I'll just go ahead and name those. And it doesn't say to do this in the instructions at all. I'm just doing it just so I can show you all some stuff. And then delay as well. Notice how I'm abbreviating those. Reverb is RVB and delay is DLY. I'm going to take my click track here and move it over to the beginning of everything so it's right there in front of everything else. So there we go. So I've got everything here. I don't really need to see my group list over here, but what I am going to do is I'm actually going to group a couple of these things together. Well, actually, do I need to? Oh, I don't really need to. So we'll deal with the groups later. I'm not going to really deal with those right now. But what I am going to do first of all is I'm going to turn down the room stereo, the overhead mono, and the overhead stereo. I'm going to turn those down for right now. And we'll deal with those in a little bit here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, and we can see the tempo is already set for us at 1:15. So don't change that. That is the tempo. But I'm going to do a couple of house cleaning changes in here. First of all, the grid here is set for 2 samples, which is not what I want it to be set for. I want the grid to follow my tempo, my bars and beats. So I'm going to go over here to grid. I'm going to say follow main time scale. I'm going to do that, and now it's going to set this to the quarter note. I'm going to change that to 1 bar, boom, like that. And if you wanted to adjust this later on, you could. You can set it to anything here. We can set bars and beats and minutes and seconds and time code and feet and frames and samples and all that stuff there. And what that's going to do is that's going to change our little blue lines here. So it's actually showing us whatever we tell it to. So for example, right now it's set for bars and beats. If I wanted to set it for like quarter notes, now I just change that and it shows me quarter notes. If I wanted to change this grid to set for 8th notes or 16th notes, I could go in here and do that. But what I'm going to do for now is just set it to, actually I'm going to set it for the half bar, not for the full bar. And you'll see why in just a little bit here. And then I'm going to go through and let's just go ahead and listen to this. I'm going to turn my click on. I'm going to change that click sound. Also, I'm going to get it so I can see more stuff here, which is really what I want to do. I want to see my inserts, and I also like to see my sends as well. And I'm going to change this click sound. I'm going to change my click to the Tony click. There we go. I prefer that click. I'm going to turn it down so it's not super loud compared to my drums. What is up, Brian Wheeler? How you doing? Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these up. And if I want to turn everything up at the same time, because it's just super quiet, and we can see that it's super quiet. It's recorded really quietly down here. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn everything up for now. And I'm going to go ahead and fix this a little bit later. But first of all, I'm just going to go down to my groups down here. And I'm going to set this to all. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn everything up. There we go. And that is a little bit better. See what my level is here in OBS. That's still pretty quiet. So I'm going to turn on my master here a little bit. And again, remember, I usually do not encourage you to turn up your master at all. I usually don't encourage you to turn anything up past 0. We're going to take care of this a little bit later, but for now, just because we're going to deal with the timing first, I'm just going to go ahead and turn stuff up. But that's only because I'm just going to deal with the timing stuff right now before I get into mixed stuff and actually dealing with like all the plugins that we can use to increase the volume on these. So I'm going to go in here and go ahead and listen to this. And as we go through, I'm just going to put some markers in. Now the markers I can put in by hitting my enter key, or I can, if you're on a laptop, you can hold down the FN key and hit enter or return. Now on a Windows machine, if you don't have a numeric keypad, I don't really know what the shortcut is on a Windows machine, but most Windows machines do have a numeric keypad. You hit that enter key on the numeric keypad and it will input a marker for you. So I'm going to go ahead and put a marker right here in the beginning. I'm just going to call this one, well, we can just, whatever, I'll just use the default name. Hold on, let me just do this. Boom, there we go, location 1. There we go, so location 1. And I'm just going to take this marker here and just drag it over to where I want it to be. So I can just grab it and drag it around and put it right there. So now I have that at location 1. What is up, Michael? How you doing? And while I'm inputting this, I'm listening to it. Now, what I'm listening for right now is my rhythm. And I'm listening to is the 16th notes or 8th notes. Okay? And right there was a change in my rhythm. So let's just listen to that again real quick. So far, my rhythm has been all 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and bop, 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 bop. It's all 8th notes, right? And in this part right here, in the second half of bar 13, it actually is triplets. Bop, 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 bop. 1 and a 2 and a triplet, 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 bop, 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 bop. Right? That's a triplet. And so I'm listening for the rhythm in that bar right there, and I'm going to make that change. Now I'm going to listen to this again real quick. Let's just go ahead. Right? So I'm going to separate out this bar here. Now, what I need to do before I do this, so I'm separating things out, is let's group these drums together. And I believe it says to do this in the instructions. Go through here and group the drums together. What I do is I just highlight them all and then hit Command G. And now I'm going to make the group, I'm going to give it a name, drums. And if you want to see what you're grouping together, go over here to attributes or globals. And all this stuff is what we're actually grouping together. So the volume, the mute. We're not going to group the pan together. I'm not going to do that here. And that's going to do it for all these sends as well. We can also group record enable if we wanted to, or input monitoring, which is not a bad thing to do. Solos and automation mode, that kind of stuff there is also really good. So this is good. And this means that basically everything that I change for those items is going to be changed across all of these tracks. So I go in here, I do that. Now watch what happens when I make a change. Let me just show you here. Let's go to bar 13. Now when I click and drag, see that? It actually changes all the tracks right there, okay? That's what grouping stuff together does. And that's why I wanted to hold off on showing it to you, was because I want to give you that example there of just one versus all of them. So I can turn my groups off in the lower left-hand corner over here. I can turn them off by clicking on that group that I made, drums. And see, when I turn it off, it's just affecting one track at a time. When I turn it back on, it's going to affect all the tracks in my group. And I see that I made a mistake here when I did the groups. And I'm going to delete this group. And the way I delete a group is I can either click on it and click on this little thing here and say delete active group, or I can right click on it and go delete. And if I do that, it says, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And the reason why I deleted those is because I actually want to make a small change here that I want to tell you about. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I've got all my correct tracks highlighted again and hit Command G to group. And over here where it says ID, I'm going to give it a name. And where it says ID, I'm going to change that to the first letter of the name of the group. Okay, and it's not something you have to do. It's something that I recommend that you do to stay organized. And it's going to come back to us when we talk about keyboard focus mode, why we want to do this a little bit later on. We're going to talk about it when we talk about keyboard focus mode. So I'm going to change this to D. And there we go, drums, we got all this stuff. Yep, all the tracks are correct, great. If I find that I made a mistake with it, I can just double click one of the tracks over here. It'll take it out of the group, but I'm going to put it back. I'm going to hit OK. So now nothing has changed. It's still going to do everything the way it did before. The only difference is now over here with my groups, it now says D for drums, right? And there's a reason for that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, but just what I recommend is anytime you're grouping tracks together, you put the first letter as the track ID. The track ID is the same as the first letter, just to help you with stuff later on. Now, I want to take a moment and say that if you understand about subgrouping and like mix grouping, that this is not the same thing. This is what we call Pro Tools grouping. This is a Pro Tools group. It's not a mix group or it's not a subgroup mix. A subgroup mix, let me just show you what a subgroup mix is. A subgroup mix would be if I make a new stereo aux channel and I call it drum group, DRGRP, and I set the input on here to be like bus 1 and 2, and I take all my drums and I set them output to go to bus 1 and 2. And this is what I was working with. Who was it yesterday? I was working with, I forget who it was. Was it Alon? No, it wasn't Alon. Who was it? Somebody helped me out yesterday. I was helping you out with your mix, and you had a big giant mix, and you're bouncing stuff down at the end. I forget who that was. Just remind me of who that was. Rory. Yeah, it was Rory. Thanks, Carl. So, and I guess he's not here right now. That's why I didn't think of it. Yeah. So, so he had this big giant mix going on. He was using a lot of subgroup mixing and stuff like that. And that's really, really fantastic. And I'm going to give you a shout out right now, Rory, even though you're not here right now, which is a shame because you'd be getting like pats on the backs and everything, virtual pats on the backs. But essentially, you're going to be subgroup mixing like this. And it's really important. But it's not the same thing as grouping in Pro Tools. This group over here on the left-hand side of the screen is not the same thing as subgroup mixing. Okay? They're very different things. And the main difference between them is if I have my Pro Tools groups, when I grab one fader, it moves all my faders. But it doesn't work with this one here. What's happening now is all my drums are going through. They're going to go through this aux track now. So I can put some effects on the drums as a whole. But with the Pro Tools mix and edit groups over here on the side, all it's doing is still all the tracks are individual tracks, but now I can just control everything with this right here. So it's a bit different. We're not going to stop and talk about subgroup mixing right now because we have a whole class devoted to that, but I do want to just explain to you, if you are familiar with subgroup mixing, I just want to explain to you that this is very different. It's not the same thing. So I've got all these drums here going to bus 1 and 2. I'm going to go ahead and change those to go to my playback 1 and 2. It goes to out 1 and 2. And actually, while we're here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and change all these so they say no output. And I'm going to go up and change my I/O settings and just make sure all my defaults are set, because the buses over here, were kind of weird. It was saying playback 1 and 2, and I don't want it to say playback 1 and 2. That was whoever made the session, which was not me, had theirs set for playback 1 and 2. I prefer mine to say out 1 and 2 or main 1 and 2 or something like that. Wow. Okay, very close to burning the crap out of my tongue. Not a good look, Tony. Burn your tongue on camera. All right, the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop. I don't want to see all this stuff across the top, the instrument stuff. There we go. So I got rid of the instrument stuff. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, we got our drums there. Boom. Okay. So the other thing that our drums group here is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to edit all this stuff here in the main edit window. So what I'm going to do is, coming back to this triplet, I'm going to go ahead and hit Command E on this to separate this one track out. And I'm also going to put a marker here, location 2. I'm just going to call it triplet. And I'm going to go back here and call this one 8th. There we go. So I'm going to go to the beginning one and call this one 8th as well. And you can have markers that are named the same thing. That's something you can do in Pro Tools. So we're just going to keep listening to this now. And everything should be 8th notes here for a while. Still 8th notes. Badly played, but 8th notes. Where's my, wait, hold on, we're not listening to them. Hold on, let's turn these back up a little bit. Let's get my overheads. Whoa, 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 whoa. Turn my drums off here, get my overheads. There we go, okay, a little bit better, yeah. Okay, cool. So right there, I'm gonna go ahead and put a marker in here. I'm gonna call this one a ride, because the ride symbol comes in. And this is what markers are really good for. Markers are good for just marking things that happen and just taking notes on everything as a whole. Still 8th notes. Badly played 8th notes, but still 8th notes. Okay, we're back to our hi-hat here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a marker in here, hi-hat. Triplet, right there. There's a triplet. And here it goes back to 8th notes. I'm going to go ahead and cut that up, put my drums back on here. I'm going to cut this up. Yeah, there you go, a little separation there. Command E to do that. Still 8th notes, still our hi-hat. Still a hi-hat. It did change a little bit. Like if you hear right here, the hi-hat's a little bit more steady. He's hitting the hi-hat a little bit harder. And here it's a little bit less hard. Kind of goes back to being a hard hit again here. I don't know what the rest of the music of the song sounds like. Okay, and here we go back to our ride symbol again. Okay, put ride in here. Ride symbol. And how do I know it's a ride symbol? I just know because I know what a ride symbol sounds like. So you kind of have to understand what your instrumentation is, which is, if you're a mix engineer, you need to understand that stuff anyway. So this is going to be good practice for hearing that. Great. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and kill the end of this here. And so everything is 8th notes for the whole song except for these two little half bars right in here, right here at bar number 29 and bar number 13. So 13 and 29 are triplets, and that's going to give us the most problems with this here. Okay, so I like to go through and separate things out like that first whenever I'm doing any kind of like, if I'm doing like a massive cleanup like this, I'll go through and listen for rhythms and stuff like that first. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start dealing with elastic audio stuff. So let me go ahead and open up the preview here, and let's just go through these notes of what's in these this PDF first. I think I covered a lot of it here. So this is download it, create a mix edit group for the drums. That was Command G. Create a duplicate playlist for all tracks and rename them by appending EA. So we can go ahead and do that. So the reason why we want to do that is so that before we start doing any kind of like quantizing or messing with anything in real major terms, we can make a copy of it so we don't mess things up. Now, I didn't do that first because everything I've done so far is just kind of organization. I haven't changed anything yet. Even making these cuts in here, I could actually go back and just highlight all these and hit Command H to uncut them. That Command H stands for heal. And so you could go back and you could just Command H and get it back to its original status. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Let's leave the beginning here. I'm sorry, I'm not going to Command H. I'm going to leave it just like cut up like this. But what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to change. I'm going to click on this little arrow here and go to duplicate. And when I do that, it went ahead and it duplicated everything, and it put a little 0.1. But in the instructions, it asks you to rename it. Rory, yeah, I sent an email about the school being closed this morning at like 8:30. Did you not get that? Oh no. Yeah, because we sent out an email. I think there's a couple emails sent out to you about the school being closed. Oh no, Rory, and we were just talking about you and how awesome you are. And you're still awesome, but you're probably frustrated. So let me just type in here. Yes, I sent an email. I hope you are not at school. If you are at school, maybe you want to come over here and hang out with me. I'm not that far from school. Oh, it is snowing hard. Oh man, I'm sorry, dude. All right, so the kick, snare, all that stuff. So if I go look in here, it says please name them -EA. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on the first one here. I'm going to delete those. I'm going to -EA for elastic audio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight these and copy it. And now when I go to each one, I can just go ahead and really quickly rename this last part of each one. See how quickly I'm able to do this? And I just renamed everything there. Now, Raheem, yeah, I got your email. I got your attendance. I got you. Yep. Raheem. Yep, I got you. So, so that was how I was able to quickly do that. You see how I was able to quickly do that, and the way I was doing that was I just double-click each one, and I highlighted the part I wanted to copy, and I just hit Command C to copy, and I hold down Command and hit the right arrow key, and just go to the end, delete it out, and then hit Command V to paste, and just keep doing that. Now, I've done this a million times. I've renamed loads and loads of tracks over the years and lots of big tracks and stuff like that. And so that's how I'm able to do this really quickly. I just have learned how to do it and just kind of gotten my head around doing it. So that's how you do it. You're not going to be as quick as me initially, but it only takes you a couple times to get as quick as me. It's not like super, super hard stuff. So now everything is named EA. So Monique says, I'm here as well. Dang, y'all didn't get my email? I sent the email at like 8:15, I guess. Oh, maybe 8:20. I think I sent the email at 8:20. James, okay. Yeah, I got you. And Monique, I'm going to put you in here. Rory as well. Where are you? There you are. Yeah, the school is closed today because of the snowstorm. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't expect the school to be closed. I honestly really didn't expect the school to be closed today because I thought the snowstorm was going to hit later in the day. Or else I would have told you all to pay attention to like if the school is going to be closed or not. Nobody told me that it might be closed. I didn't even think it was going to be closed at all. I was all ready to go. I was also getting ready to walk out the door when I saw I checked my email about it. All right, well, I apologize. But this is being recorded, so you can check this out when you get back home. All right, so now if I change one of these, see they all change here. And when I start to go through and make actual changes to the track, it's gonna affect just the one playlist. It's not gonna affect both playlists. Okay. So next, it says correct the timing of the performance using elastic audio. So we're going to change all the tracks into rhythmic elastic audio mode, change your track selector view to warp markers, open the quantize MIDI event operation and highlight the first 4 bars. Okay, so here's what it says it is. So this says to go through and do in groups of 4 bars. But because I went through and adjusted everything ahead of time. I don't really need to do that. I'm going to show you a little bit easier way to do this. So first of all, though, I need to go ahead and make sure that I put everything into elastic audio mode. So the cool part is that with everything being grouped together like this, if I click on it and I select rhythmic for one of them, it's going to actually put all of them into rhythmic mode. So now they're all in rhythmic mode. Now, if I go back to my other playlist, it doesn't affect the elastic audio mode. The elastic audio mode is by the track. So it's by the track, not by the playlist. So playlist, it's elastic audio, does not have the they're both going to have the rhythmic mode turned on right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. The playlist only affects the editing, and it only affects the audio that's on the track. So I've got this here, and now we're going to go in here and we are going to click on this one, and let's go ahead and quantize this first part, and so we can go ahead and listen to it. So I've got it highlighted. All the things are highlighted here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up my my quantize menu. That is under event operations, quantize, right there. And I go in here and I'm going to change this to eighth notes. Now the reason I'm changing this to eighth notes is because that is the fastest rhythm that I'm playing in this part here. If you change it to 16th notes, it's going to get weird because some of these are so wrong that it's just going to get really weird. So I'm going to change it to eighth notes, and I'm just going to leave everything set to, I'm not going to touch anything here. I'm going to hit apply. And now let's listen to it. I'm going to go ahead and start this over here. And now it should be perfect. And it sounds really good. Now, I can hear a couple little artifacts on the ends of some of these notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here to rhythmic. I'm going to click on my plugin here. I'm going to change the decay rate to about 25 or so. And I think that'll make the change for all of them. No, it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change all these to 25, 26, somewhere in there. And I'm just going to go ahead and, let's just, can I click it? Yeah, I can click it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in here for each one of these. I'm going to go ahead and leave the overhead set to 50% though, because I want that one to have some more, a little bit more there. Okay, cool. And then we're going to go ahead and bring up these as well. I'm going to go ahead and disable this. Cool. Maybe I'll change these two. Nice. There we go. Now, if we go back and listen to this, let's listen to the original playlist and hear just what the difference is. Hear how the rhythm is kind of pushing and pulling? Right? And if we go ahead and put it in here, where that tom drum is, it's really bad. So I'm going to go back to bar 9 here and listen to it with the elastic audio quantized. See how much better it sounds? So much better, all right? So that's the difference there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through here, and where it says triplet, I'm going to go in here and change this to, over here in my quantize, I'm going to change it to tuplet right there, 3-2, and hit go. Boop. And now I'm going to go in here to these. I'm going to turn the tuplet off, back into my eighth notes, and hit apply. Boop. And I can just go through and change this. Here's my triplet part again. I'm going to turn the triplet on and go ahead and quantize it. And I'm going to go over here to these, the end, and then change that to eighth note and hit apply. Boom. So now everything should sound pretty good, but there's going to be a couple of little weird things in here. And that's where I made the cuts right here. So we want to go ahead and take a look at these here real quick and clean some stuff up. So let's listen to it first and just hear what it sounds like and see why we want to clean it up. Hear that weird sound there? I'm going to turn my click off so we can focus on the drums. You hear that little gap right there? A really weird little gap. And the reason why that gap's happening is because you can see, if we zoom in on this, you can see there's a gap right here. This one's over here and this one's over here. It's like this weird thing. And the reason why that's happening is because the transient marker was actually in the wrong place for these. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit. Let's go ahead and change all these into analysis mode. And we can see, okay, well that looks okay there, but oh, you know why? It's because of when I chopped it up, right? So we're going to put this in warp mode here and keep that there. That one looks good. But this one here needs to be dragged over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this in slip mode, and I'm going to drag this way like that. And I'm just going to drag the front part of this one back this way. And I'm going to see these little markers here. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these. And when I delete one of them, it deletes all of them. And now we should, yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and go in here and delete this one too. So now it's like that. Yep, cool. So we got a little bit of a, I'm going to go ahead and drag this over like this. And see, I'm making little adjustments like this. And this should sound really good now. Let's go ahead and listen to it. Great. And then the other one I want to clean up is this one right here. So I'm going to zoom in on this. And you have to kind of like balance this out a little bit, kind of dragging it back and forth just a little bit. There we go. And that should be, wait, oh, I know what we need. Okay, so see this down here where we've got the overhead here. Right, we need to fix that because that's our tom drum here. So I'm going to put a little marker there. I'm going to drag this back this way like this. And I'm going to drag this one forward. And I'm just going to make sure that we have some good overlap there. And there's no gaps. And I'm going to go back over here and play. Okay, great. There is, however, one that I want to get rid of in here. And I'm going to get rid of just this one. So I'm going to turn off my groups. And let's get the tom drum here. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of all these in here with the tom drum. Just that one tom drum there. So let's hear what this sounds like now. And that sounds pretty good. It's a little bit weird sounding, but that would probably be covered up. There's some weird stuff in here. It just kind of depends on how perfect you want to make these. Let's see here. Where are we? We're over here. There we go. And you can see, yeah, there's some kind of weirdness happening down here. And that's because some of the hi-hats are off from each other. Let's go ahead and put a marker here and just move this over. I'm not going to have this one. It's going to be a little bit off, but this one's going to be on. And so go in here and listen to this. Sounds okay. It sounds a little bit weird to me. I'm not sure if y'all can hear that or not. Some of you probably can, some of you probably can't, but it's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to change these all back to waveform. And you notice that because my group is turned on, when I change one, it changes all of them. And we're going to go over here to our, let me see, the ride symbol was all taken care of. Okay, so let's go in here. And we can see there's another gap over here. Let's just... All right, that sounds really weird in there. So we're going to go back in here and we are going to go into warp mode. And we're going to kind of mess around with these a little bit here. So I want to go in here and I want to see the beginnings here a little bit off right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this one and move it over. I'm going to get rid of this one here. I'm going to grab this one and put it in and move that back like that. And you see how when I did that, it kind of exposed a couple of other weird things here. So I'm going to go ahead in here and move this back this way, get rid of that one. And this one here, I'm going to drag it this way here like this, and then I'm going to pull this one back over again. And that should make everything be all nice and happy with itself. Let's go ahead and listen to that. much better. And then same thing in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these here. You can see where the beginning is like this. I'm going to grab that one. I'm going to pull this back here so we can just see what's going on. And you have to make sure that when you do this, notice how when I grab it, let's see, yeah, when I grab it like this, notice how everything is highlighted. If I move everything, it's going to move all the markers. See how they're all being moved there? If I grab this one, they're all being moved. We have to be careful about that. Make sure that you deselect the clip, and so your little icon looks like that right there. Because if it doesn't look like that, it's going to be a mistake. It's gonna be weird. So I grab that, I move it back to the beginning. I'm going to grab the end over here and kind of overlap it for a second, and then just make sure I'm going to get rid of all these. I'm going to put these in and put them in the same place I put the other one, and I'm just going to go back over here like this. Okay, so now I go in here. Now it sounds perfect. Great. Awesome. And if we listen to the whole rest of this, I'm not going to listen to the whole rest of it, but it will sound fine. It should sound really good. Now, the problem we're going to run into, though, actually having said that, hear that ride cymbal? Let's see if we can change this rhythm part. Yeah, that helps. That sounds a little bit better. Let's try this in poly mode here. Let's put it in polyphonic mode and see what that sounds like. Polyphonic mode actually sounds pretty freaking amazing. And the follow the transient. Let's follow the transient. Turn that on for all of these. The follow the transient just means that it's going to make sure it like really accentuates your transient. So it's really going to make sure that your transient's nice and hard. This is something that really only Pro Tools has. Pro Tools, in my opinion, does sound the best when it comes to their polyphonic mode. Sounds really amazing in keeping those transients nice and articulated. That sounds great. Here, let's go back to the beginning over here. Yeah, hear how much better actually polyphonic mode sounds. And we can see that it's actually fine on my computer processor. There's like a little bit of a weird one right there. Let's go back and fix that weird one. Yeah, hear that one there. The reason why this one is so weird is because, see how it's like off? It picked up the transient for the wrong one. So I'm going to go ahead and move that. I'm going to click on this one and put this in here. And I'm going to set this to eighth notes so we can just see where the eighth note's supposed to be. There we go. Now let's listen to it again. Great. And we can see if you want to go in here and be really perfect about these, you can go in here and drag these around. Turn off my follow. Whoever made this uses follow, and I do not use follow. Okay, so if you want to go in, what I would recommend going in and doing is really to make this perfect, and it would be really good training for you, is to go in here and see where this one's like off right here. So I'm just going to double click this one next to it and just take this one and drag it over. Now, the reason why it was off like that was because of this little transient right here is what Pro Tools actually picked up. And you want to just move everything over so it's like, you know, pretty close to right there. You can see these are off a little bit from this one. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. Let's just let's just listen to this. Yeah, and it's just like that because it's a human playing. And anything that you hear that's really off, right, like that one right there is pretty far off. And I don't know if y'all can hear it or not, but I can totally hear it. And so put this back over like this, and let's get rid of this one here, move this back like that. So we're just kind of going in and cleaning things up a little bit as we go. Okay, I'm going to go in here and deal with these two right here. You can see them, and I could hear them too. And move these back like that. And I'm double clicking to get rid of it, and then just clicking and putting it right there for us. Cool. There we go. Awesome. When you're doing this stuff, you really have to make sure that you're favoring that kick and snare. Right? Because if you favor the hi-hat, which I think is what Pro Tools has done a couple times here, it's okay for the hi-hat to be a little bit early. It's not okay for that kick and snare drum to be a little bit off. I'm just going to go ahead and make a change to this one here as well, since I'm looking at it. And I'm doing that just by seeing it. Great, looks pretty good. Oh, there's like a weird one back here. Kind of, yeah, this one right here. Go ahead and move that in. All right, sounds pretty good. And if we go through, I'm just kind of eyeballing these real quick ahead of time just to make sure nothing looks seriously off. See these over here? This one's pretty off here, so I'm gonna grab that one and put it right there. This one right here, I'm gonna get rid of it and move that right there. Actually, it was pretty good once I got rid of the other one. All right, good. I'm gonna get rid of this last one as well. We don't need that one. Sounds good. Awesome. And I'm gonna put a little fade on the end of these as well, on all of them. Fade there, boop, and you can see how it's puts that fade in for me on all of them because they're all grouped together. And let's go back to the beginning here, just like check the beginning and make sure. I'm going to go back to put these in warp mode here. And I'm just going to eyeball these real quick and see how this one's like a little bit off. Not much, but just a little bit. And if we're really going for perfection here, why not go all the way, right? Cool. All right, sounds pretty good. This one's gonna be a little bit off. There we go. Put that back. And you can see that just by deleting the one warp marker, it allowed the other one to kind of go back into place. Sometimes that happens, and if it happens, just leave it alone. Just let it do its thing. Yeah, and now we're back to where we were a second ago. Great, okay, cool. Now, obviously, I'm doing this really, really quick. The more you do this, the better you're gonna get at it. And I have done this thousands of times with different songs, especially because the way I do like DJ mixes for radio and like releases and stuff like that, SoundCloud, whatnot, I don't actually play them live anymore. I just do them in Ableton just because it's a little bit easier. I don't, you know, whether you like it or not, I'd rather be working on productions and stuff like that. So when I'm doing my DJ mixes, I put them all into Ableton Live and I go through and I fix stuff like this and I kind of make sure everything's perfect and the set is nice. So I've done this a lot with different types of material. So I'm really, really quick at it. I don't expect you to be this quick at it. I mean, I've only been doing this now for like 45 minutes or 40 minutes or so, and I'm done. Right? And I don't expect you to be this quick at it. So once you've got this here and you've got this done, take a screenshot of your mix, of your edit window like this. Boom, there's my screenshot. And I'm going to go ahead and upload this into Canvas. Submit assignment. Let's browse and grab that. There we go. Submit. And there we go. Yay, celebration. Okay, cool. So now I've got that. Now, once I'm done with that, we can go ahead and do the other one. Let me go back into student view here. Go back in here to my assignments. And the next one down in assignments, if you go show by type, the next one is the plugins exercise. And the plugins exercise, I really want you to do that one. Number 6 and number 7, I don't know if number 7 actually says it. Hold on, let's see, what does number 7 say? Yeah, say using the same one, actually. So number 6 and number 7 are going to be using the same sharp hand Joe. So once you've got the timing down, you can go in here to number 6 and do that. So we're going to do that. I'm going to make a separate video about number 6, though. Let's go ahead and stop this recording right here.